The $3,000 question. The phone rang at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday in November. I know because I looked at the clock on my nightstand before I picked up. The house was cold. We keep the heat at 62 overnight to save money. I could hear the furnace click on in the basement as I answered. It was Linda. We'd been married 23 years. She was at her sister's place in Columbus, about 4 hours away. She'd driven up Friday for what she called a girls' weekend. I'd stayed home. I work maintenance at a paper mill, and I had a Saturday shift I couldn't miss. "Danny's in trouble," she said. No hello, no apology for the time. "I need you to wire $3,000 right now." $3,000 at 2:47 in the morning. Danny was her son, 31 years old. I'd known him since he was 9, when Linda and I started dating. Raised him from 10 onward. Paid for his braces. Taught him to drive. Helped him move into 4 different apartments over the years. I sat up. Put my feet on the cold floor. "What kind of trouble?" "He got pulled over. DUI. He needs bail money or they're transferring him to county." $3,000 for a DUI. That's what he said. I didn't say anything for a moment. I was listening to her voice, the urgency in it. The way she said, "He needs," instead of "we need," or "can you help?" "Where is he?" "Somewhere outside Toledo. He was driving back from a friend's place." "What friend?" "I don't know. Does it matter?" "He needs the money by 6 a.m. I looked at the clock again. 2:49 a.m. Why doesn't he call Jake? Jake was Danny's biological father. Lived in Michigan. Saw Danny maybe twice a year. Jake doesn't have it. You know that. How do you know that? "Gary," her voice changed. Got harder. "I don't have time for this. I need you to go to Walmart and wire the money. They're open 24 hours. I thought about the Walmart on Route 40. 20-minute drive. I'd been asleep for maybe 3 hours. I had work at 6:30 a.m. $3,000 was half our savings account. "Did Danny call you, or did someone from the jail call you?" "He called me." "From jail?" "Yes." "On his cell phone?" Pause. "I don't know how it works, Gary. Maybe he got his one call. Can you please just do this?" I stood up, walked to the window. The street was empty. The neighbor's porch light was on, same as always. Everything looked normal. "3,000, I said. "Yes." "You're sure that's what he said?" "Yes." "Gary, what are you doing?" "I'm thinking." "There's nothing to think about. He's scared. He needs help." I thought about the last time Danny needed money. That was in July. $400. His car had broken down in Pennsylvania, and he needed a tow and a hotel room. I'd sent it through Venmo. Never got paid back. Before that, it was February. $200. Some story about a paycheck that didn't clear, and his landlord threatening eviction. "I'm not wiring anything," I said. Silence. "What?" I said I'm not wiring the money. "Gary, if he's in jail, he can call me himself. If this is real, there'll be a booking number, a case number, something official." "He did call me. I'm calling you. What more do you need?" I needed to make sense, Linda. $3,000 doesn't make sense for a first-time DUI, not at 3 in the morning. "So you're just going to leave him there?" "I'm going to wait until I can verify what's actually happening." Her voice went cold, sharp. "You know what? Forget it. Forget I called. I'll figure it out myself." "How?" "That's not your problem anymore, is it?" She hung up. I didn't go back to sleep. I sat on the edge of the bed in the dark, and I thought about all the emergencies, all the late-night calls and last-minute needs. The pattern I'd been ignoring for years because I didn't want to be the kind of man who turns his back on family. I went downstairs, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table. Linda called back at 3:10 a.m. I let it ring. She called again at 3:15, again at 3:22. I didn't answer any of them. At 3:30, she texted, "Why are you doing this?" At 3:41, he's your son too. At 3:58, I can't believe you're abandoning him like this. I drank my coffee and I watched those messages come in. I didn't respond. The thing about raising someone else's kid is that you're never quite sure where you stand. You pay for things. You show up. You try to be consistent. But there's always this gap, this understanding that if things go bad, the real parent can pull rank. And they do. Not always in big ways, mostly in small ones. Like when Danny got his first apartment at 19, and Linda co-signed the lease. Didn't ask me, didn't mention it until after. When I asked why, she said, "He's my son. Not ours. Mine." Or when he dropped out of community college after one semester, and I suggested maybe he should pay us back the $1,200 we'd put toward tuition. Linda said I was being cruel, said he was going through a hard time, said family doesn't keep score. But somebody had to keep score. Because we live on a budget. Because every time I said yes to Danny, I was saying no to something else. A vacation we never took, repairs we put off, the retirement account that never quite grew the way it should have. At 4:15 a.m., my phone rang again. Different number. I answered. "Mr. Hendricks?" A woman's voice. Professional. Clipped. "Yes." "This is Officer Denise Walsh with the Lucas County Sheriff's Department. I'm calling regarding Daniel Patrick Moore. Are you his father?" "Stepfather." "Are you listed as an emergency contact?" "I might be." "Mr. Moore was arrested earlier this evening on suspicion of driving under the influence. His bail is set at $3,000. He's requested that we contact you for payment." "What time was he arrested?" "Approximately 11:40 p.m. And he's been in custody since then?" "Yes, sir." "What was his blood alcohol level?" Pause. "I'm not at liberty to discuss the details of his case, sir. I'm only calling to facilitate bail payment." "If he called his mother 4 hours ago, why are you calling me now?" Another pause. Longer this time. "She requested we contact you directly, sir." "I see. Will you be able to post bail, Mr. Hendricks?" I looked at the kitchen clock. 4:17 a.m. "No," I said. Silence. "No, sir?" "That's right." "May I ask why not?" "I don't need to explain that." "Mr. Hendricks, if Mr. Moore doesn't post bail by 6 a.m., he'll be transferred to county lockup. He could be there for several days. Then I guess that's where he'll be." I heard her exhale. Not quite a sigh, just a breath. "All right, sir. I'll note that in the file." She hung up. Linda called 30 seconds later. I answered. "What the fuck is wrong with you?" she said. I'd heard her yell before. I'd heard her upset. But I'd never heard her sound like this. This was different. This was something breaking. "I'm not sending the money," I said. "Why?" "Because this doesn't add up." "You don't believe the police?" "I believe Danny's in jail. I don't believe this is what he says it is." "Gary, he's scared. He made a mistake. He needs help." "Then his father can help him." "His father doesn't have $3,000. "Neither do I. Not for this." Silence. Long enough that I thought she'd hung up. Then, "If you do this, we're done." "Okay," I said. I didn't mean it to sound the way it did. I didn't mean it to sound calm. But it did. And I think that's what scared her. Because she knew. She knew I wasn't bluffing, wasn't posturing, wasn't trying to win an argument. She hung up. I went to work. The mill was the same as always. Loud, hot. The kind of place where you can't think, which is sometimes what you need. I ran diagnostics on the dryer rollers, replaced a belt on the cutter, ate lunch in my truck. Nobody asked me how I was doing. Linda didn't call all day. Danny didn't call. I got home around 4 p.m., showered, microwaved some leftovers, sat in the living room and watched the news. At 6:30, my phone buzzed. Text from Linda. "We need to talk." I didn't respond. At 8 o'clock, she called. I answered. "I'm coming home tomorrow," she said. Her voice was flat. Empty. All right. Danny posted bail. Good. Jake sent him the money. That surprised me. Jake never had money. Jake worked part-time at a hardware store and lived in a trailer. But I didn't say anything. Gary, I need to understand what happened last night. I said no. But why? Why now? You've helped him before. That's exactly why. That doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense. Every time I help, there's another emergency, and I'm tired of being the solution to problems I didn't create. She was quiet for a moment. Then, he's not perfect. I know that. But he's trying. Is he? Yes. What's he trying to do, Linda? He's trying to get his life together. He's 31. So? So at some point, trying isn't enough. He's my son. There it was, the line, the boundary. I'd heard it 100 times in different forms, but this was the first time I really understood what it meant. Not our son, not the man I raised. Mine. I know, I said, and I'm done. We didn't talk much after that. She came home Thursday. We were polite, careful. We slept in the same bed, but we didn't touch. It felt like living with a stranger. Friday night, Danny called. Linda answered. I was in the garage, organizing my tools. I could hear her through the wall. Her voice was low, but I caught pieces. I know. He's being unreasonable. I don't know what to tell you. When she came out to the garage 20 minutes later, her face was tight. Danny wants to talk to you, she said. I don't want to talk to him. Gary, no. He just wants to explain. There's nothing to explain. He made a mistake. He's sorry. Good. Can you please just talk to him? No. She stared at me. I stared back. Then she turned and walked back into the house. That Sunday, I was replacing the weather stripping on the back door when I found the envelope. It was tucked behind the frame, folded in half. Inside was a credit card statement. Not ours. The name on the account was Daniel P. Moore, but the billing address was our address. I sat down at the kitchen table and read through it. Balance, $4,921. Recent charges, $800 cash advance, $220 at a sports bar, $180 at a liquor store, another cash advance for $500. The first cash advance was dated 3 days before Linda's emergency call. I looked at the payment history. Minimum payments. Late fees. The account had been open for 7 months. I didn't say anything to Linda, not yet. I took the statement to work Monday and made a copy on the machine in the office. Put the original back where I found it. Tuesday, I called the credit card company. Gave them my name and address. Asked if there were any accounts associated with my information. The woman on the phone was polite. She put me on hold. Came back 2 minutes later. Sir, I'm showing one account in your name. Would you like the account number? My stomach dropped. Yes. She gave it to me. It matched the statement I'd found. I didn't open that account, I said. Do you have proof of identity theft? Not yet. I'd recommend filing a police report, sir. Once you have that, we can begin the dispute process. I hung up. Sat in my truck for a long time. The pieces were falling into place. The emergency calls, the hidden statement, the urgency that never quite made sense. I wasn't being asked to help my stepson. I was being used to cover his debts. When I got home that night, Linda was cooking dinner. Spaghetti. The kitchen smelled like garlic and tomato sauce. She was humming. Can we talk? I said. She turned, smiled. It was the first real smile I'd seen from her in a week. Of course. I put the credit card statement on the counter. Her smile disappeared. Where did you find that? Behind the door frame. You went through my things? I was fixing the door. She picked up the statement, folded it, put it in her back pocket. This has nothing to do with you, she said. The account is in my name. What? I called the credit card company. It's in my name, at this address. Her face went white. That's not possible. Call them yourself. She didn't move, just stood there, staring at me. Did you know? I asked. No. Did Danny ask you for my information? Gary, I don't. Did he ask for my social security number? He needed help. His credit was destroyed. He couldn't get approved on his own. So you gave him my information. I thought I was co-signing. You can't co-sign using someone else's identity, Linda. That's fraud. He was going to pay it back. When? When was he going? To pay back $5,000 on $12 an hour? He's struggling. And now, I'm the one holding the debt. She started crying. Not loud. Just tears running down her face. I didn't know it would get this bad, she said. How long have you known about the card? A few months. And you didn't tell me. I was afraid you'd react like this. Like someone who doesn't want his identity stolen. Like someone who doesn't care about him. I took a breath, let it out slow. I need you to leave, I said. What? Pack a bag. Go stay with your sister. I need space. Gary, please. I'm not asking. She left that night. Took enough clothes for a week. Didn't say goodbye. Just walked out and got in her car and drove away. I called the police the next morning. Filed a report for identity theft. The officer who took my statement was young. Couldn't have been more than 25. He asked me questions. Who had access to my information? When did I first notice? The account? Did I suspect anyone specifically? I told him the truth. All of it. He wrote everything down. Gave me a case number. Said a detective would follow up within a week. Thursday, I got a letter from the credit card company. They'd frozen the account pending investigation. The balance was still my responsibility until the fraud claim was processed. I'd be liable, unless I could prove I hadn't authorized it. Friday, Danny showed up at my work. I was on break, sitting in my truck, when he knocked on the window. I rolled it down. We need to talk, he said. No, we don't. You filed a police report on me. You're trying to put me in jail. I'm trying to clear my name. It's the same thing. Then you shouldn't have opened a credit card in my name. I didn't steal anything. Mom gave me the information. That's still fraud, Danny. He was breathing hard, angry, but trying to control it. I'll pay you back, he said. When? I don't know. Soon. You owe nearly $5,000. I know. How? I'll figure it out. You've been figuring it out for 10 years. He stepped back from the truck, shook his head. I thought you were different, he said. Different than what? Than my real dad. I'm not your real dad, Danny. That's the point. I never was. He flinched, then turned and walked away. I didn't feel good about it. Didn't feel bad either. Just felt empty. The detective called the following Tuesday. Her name was Morris. She sounded tired. Mr. Hendricks, I've reviewed your report. I need to ask you some questions. All right. Did you give anyone permission to use your personal information to open credit accounts? No. Did you ever agree to co-sign for your stepson? No. Do you want to press charges? I thought about that. Sitting there in my living room, phone pressed to my ear. I thought about Linda, about Danny, about 23 years of trying to be enough. Yes, I said. Against your wife, her, son, or both. Whoever opened the account. Based on the application, that would be both of them. Then both. She was quiet for a moment. Mr. Hendricks, I have to tell you, cases like this rarely result in jail time, especially when it's family. Most of the time, the DA offers restitution and probation. I understand. Are you sure you want to move forward? I'm sure. Linda called me that night, screaming, said I was destroying her family, said I was vindictive, said she'd given me the best years of her life and this was how I repaid her. I let her talk, didn't interrupt. When she finally stopped, I said, Are you done? Fuck you, Gary. I'm filing for divorce. You'll get the papers next week. I hung up. The lawyer I hired was a guy named Tom Brennan. Small office above a diner on Main Street. Maybe 60. Gray hair, thick glasses. He listened to everything, took notes, didn't react. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. You have grounds, he said. Fraud. Financial infidelity. This speeds things up. How long? If she doesn't contest. 6 months. If she fights, could be a year. I want it done. I'll file tomorrow, Linda contested. Her lawyer argued that I'd been complicit, that I'd known about Danny's financial troubles and had enabled them for years, that my sudden refusal to help was retaliatory. It dragged things out. We went to mediation in March, sat across from each other in a conference room. Linda looked smaller somehow, thinner. The mediator asked about assets. We didn't have much. The house, 2 cars, some savings, a 401k. Linda wanted the house. I didn't fight her on it. Didn't want to live there anymore. We split the savings. I kept my truck. She kept her sedan. The whole thing took 4 hours. The fraud case moved slower. Danny got a public defender who argued it was a misunderstanding, a family matter. The prosecutor didn't care. They offered a plea deal, probation, restitution, community, service. Danny took it. He was ordered to pay me back at $50 a month. At that rate, it would take 8 years. I didn't expect to see most of it. The divorce was finalized in May. I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment on the east side of town. Small, clean, quiet. I kept working at the mill, kept my head down, didn't talk about what happened. The guys I worked with knew something had shifted, but nobody asked. I started sleeping better. That was the strangest part. I'd expected to feel lonely, regretful, but I didn't. I felt lighter. I'd come home from work, make dinner, watch TV, go to bed at 10, sleep straight through till 6. No phone calls, no emergencies, no one needing anything. It felt like rest. One Saturday in July, I drove out to the lake. There's a spot about 40 minutes from town where you can sit and watch the water. I used to go there before Linda, before all of it. I sat on a rock and I thought about Danny, about whether I'd been too hard on him, whether I should have tried harder. But the truth is, patience wasn't the problem. Clarity was. For years, I'd told myself that if I just kept showing up, kept helping, it would be enough. That eventually, he'd see me as a father. That Linda would see me as a partner. But people don't change because you're patient. They change because they have to. And as long as I kept saying yes, they never had to. The divorce didn't fix anything. Danny's still struggling. Linda's still angry. I'm still alone. But I'm not responsible for it anymore. I don't talk to Linda. Don't talk to Danny. I cash the $50 checks when they arrive, but I don't expect them to keep coming. Sometimes I think about calling, about checking in. But I don't, because I know how it would go. I'd ask how they're doing. They'd need something, and I'd have to decide all over again. So I don't call. I work. I sleep. I pay my bills. I go to the lake. It's a smaller life than the one I had. Quieter. But it's mine. And I sleep through the night now. Every night. That's worth more than I ever thought it would be. If you're reading this and you see yourself in it, I want to tell you something. You're allowed to stop. You don't have to keep being the person everyone calls when they need something. You don't have to keep sacrificing yourself to prove you care. Love isn't the same thing as being used. Family isn't the same thing as obligation. And when you finally say no, when the phone stops ringing and the emergencies stop coming, and you're sitting alone in a quiet room with nothing but your own breathing, you might be surprised. You might realize you're not lonely. You might realize you're just finally at peace.